The Heisman Trophy, America's most greatest trophy in all of college football, one of the greatest accomplishments that any college football athlete can get. When people think of the Heisman Trophy, you think of all the winners. You have Reggie Bush, Carson Palmer, Tim Tebow, Jaden Daniels, Devontae Smith, and so many other names on that list. When it comes to the Heisman Trophy ceremony, people seem to forget the one and most important thing. There are runner-ups to the trophy. Today in this video, we are going to go over the runner-ups to the Heisman Trophy and what happened to them and their careers after coming up second in the award. The winner of the 2000 Heisman Trophy Award was quarterback Chris Weinke. That year, Weinke had a career season. He would lead Florida State to the national championship game where they would face Oklahoma. In the game, Weinke would struggle and the team would lose 13-2. Ironically, the runner-up to the Heisman Trophy, Josh Heupel, would be the winning quarterback of the national championship game. Now introducing the runner-up to the Heisman Trophy, Josh Heupel. As previously mentioned, he was the national championship winner, and during that season, he was perfect as Oklahoma's starting quarterback. Despite being a lefty, the team would go undefeated in the season and would come out being the national champions of college football that season. Oklahoma's run to the national championship in 2000 was seen as a surprise. They were expected to finish nowhere near the top two. However, despite that, Josh Heupel did whatever he needed to do to win games. He threw for over 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, to 14 interceptions. While the numbers don't look good, you have to remember back then, football teams did not throw the ball as much, and systems were completely different for quarterbacks. In the national championship game, Heupel played alright. He would throw for over 200 yards, however, he did throw for an interception, though it was enough as the underdog Oklahoma team won the national championship game. After the season ended, Heupel would officially declare for the 2001 NFL Draft. In the 2001 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins would use their 6th-round pick to select Heupel. Heupel, however, would never see the field for the Dolphins, whether that be in the regular season or even the preseason for that matter. An injury cost him all of the 2001 preseason, and he would be released shortly after roster cuts began. After a brief stint with the Green Bay Packers, Heupel would announce his retirement from the NFL. As of making this video, Josh Heupel is currently on the coaching staff of Tennessee. Fun fact, he was actually the head coach of UCF before being hired as the Tennessee head coach. As of now, Tennessee is coming off a season in which they made the college football playoffs and are looking to potentially win their first championship since the 90s.
Florida sophomore Rex Grossman, the nation's top-rated passer and leader in total offense. The gifted Gator has 10 300-yard games this season.
The runner-up to the 2001 Heisman Trophy Award, Florida quarterback Rex Grossman. That season, Rex Grossman had a career year. He would throw for over 3,000 yards, he would go 10-2 as Florida starter, and he would have one of the best seasons by a college football quarterback at Florida at the time. The season, however, would end in slight controversy, as Grossman would be benched for part of the Orange Bowl. This was due to the fact that he had missed multiple team meetings and curfews. Despite not starting the game, Grossman would come off the bench and would throw for 4 touchdowns in a 56-23 victory over Maryland. After coming up second in the Heisman voting in 2001, a lot of people were projecting Grossman to potentially win the award in 2002. However, in 2002, Grossman would suffer massive regression. He would throw for less touchdowns, he would turn the ball over more, and his completion percentage took a massive hit, dropping from 65% in 2001 to 57% in 2002.
With the 22nd selection in the 2003 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Rex Grossman, quarterback, University of Florida.
In the 2003 draft, Rex Grossman was selected by the Chicago Bears. I already talked about Grossman's NFL career in a previous video, doing the what happened to every first-round pick in the 2000s, but I will say this briefly. I'll do a quick overview of his career. Grossman, as a Bear, was injury-prone. He didn't really have a great season, with the exception of 2006, in which he led them all the way to the Super Bowl, but besides that, Grossman was a replaceable quarterback. He didn't really have great moments in the NFL. He was mostly carried by Chicago's elite defense, and he was benched multiple times. Several times, as you can see by the turnover-to-pick ratio, he was a terrible thrower of the football. He had a terrible completion percentage, he had more interceptions than touchdowns for Chicago, and by the end of his career, he was a journeyman backup. He had brief stints in Washington, Atlanta, and Cleveland, before announcing his retirement in 2016.
Building Iowa, where he rose from last season's relief pitcher to this season's ace.
Brad Biggs.
The runner-up to the 2002 Heisman Trophy was quarterback Brad Banks out of Iowa. At Iowa, Brad Brinks led the team to an 11-2 record, and he led them to the Orange Bowl. That season, he broke a lot of statistical records and was seen as one of the best quarterbacks in college at the time. He threw for over 2,500 yards and 26 touchdowns while limiting his turnovers. At Iowa that year, he was pretty much perfect. He did what he needed to do to get wins, and he didn't turn the ball over that much.
Here's Banks. Walked in the end zone. Dallas Clark!
Despite having a solid statistical senior season, Banks went undrafted in the 2003 NFL Draft. He would sign with Washington in 2003, but he would be briefly cut after. He would spend a few years in the CFL where he would have a few starts, but nothing really special. He never made it back to the NFL, and he would retire after 2011. The 2003 Heisman Trophy runner-up. It goes to wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald out of Pitt. For those who don't know, Larry Fitzgerald is one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history, and also one of the greatest guys to ever play in the NFL. In 2003, while at Pitt, he caught 92 catches for 1,600 yards along with 22 touchdowns. He was named first-team All-Big East and carried Pitt on offense throughout the season. While Pitt didn't have much success on the field, they did have one of the greatest receivers of all time. After being blown out in the 2004 Fiesta Bowl by Alex Smith in Utah, Larry Fitzgerald would declare for the 2004 NFL Draft.
Arizona and Denny
With
Green's
the,
first pick.
Third choice in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Larry Fitzgerald, wide receiver, University of Pittsburgh.
Larry Fitzgerald stuck with the Cardinals organization between 2004 and 2020 until his retirement. During that time, Fitzgerald would make the playoffs only a handful of times, being in 2008, 2009, 2014, and 2015. By the time Fitzgerald retired, he was top 10 in all major receiving categories in NFL history. He was an 11-time Pro Bowler and is going to be a future Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. As he is on the ballot this year, it is likely he will get into the Hall of Fame. However, the one thing that held him back from being probably the best receiver of all time was the fact he didn't really have a starting quarterback that was successful. Besides Kyler Murray, Carson Palmer, and Kurt Warner, he didn't really have a successful franchise quarterback.
Now, without further delay, the Heisman Trust is proud to announce the winner of the 2004 Heisman Memorial Trophy.
The runner-up to the 2004 Heisman Trophy went to Oklahoma running back and freshman at the time, Adrian Peterson. You all know Adrian Peterson's name, and as a freshman, he was one of the most dominant running backs of all time. He had one of the best freshman seasons by any player in college football history. He rushed for nearly 2,000 yards, had over 20 touchdowns, and was a runner-up to the Heisman Trophy, which was won by first-round pick quarterback Matt Leinart. As a freshman, Peterson's season was enough to propel Oklahoma into the national championship. However, as previously mentioned, they would lose to Heisman Trophy winner Matt Leinart. After the 2004 season for AP, he would spend 2 more seasons at Oklahoma. In 2005, Oklahoma would go 7-6, they would win the Holiday Bowl, and they took a step back that year. In 2006, however, they would rebound. They would go 11-2, however, they did lose the Fiesta Bowl to Boise State on a miracle play. Following the end of the season, Adrian Peterson would announce his decision to declare for the NFL Draft.
The Minnesota Vikings select Adrian Peterson, running back, Oklahoma.
The Vikings selected AP in the first round of the 2007 NFL Draft. Almost immediately, AP made his appearance known in Minnesota. In 2007, he would make an All-Pro appearance, a Pro Bowl appearance, and he would win 2007 Offensive Rookie of the Year. Between 2007 and all the way until 2016, Peterson was one of the most dominant running backs in the NFL, single-handedly for the Vikings. He would rush for 2,000 yards in 2012 and would win the league's MVP. He would also make the playoffs a few times, including 2008, 2009, 2012, and 2015. The Vikings throughout that time never had a franchise quarterback, so most of the time it was just hand the ball off to Adrian Peterson and hope for a miracle they could make the playoffs. After the 2016 season ended, the Vikings would release Adrian Peterson from his contract. The rest of his career, he would be a journeyman backup/gap play starter for teams. He would spend time in Washington, Detroit, Seattle, and a few other places throughout that time period. After 2021 ended, Adrian Peterson announced his retirement from the NFL. It is likely similar to Larry Fitzgerald that the first time these two are eligible for the Hall of Fame, they will be let into the Hall of Fame, due to the fact that they are some of the best players at their position in the modern era.
3 finalists here tonight, the star power of Vince Young, Matt Leinart, and Reggie Bush.
The winner is Reggie Bush.
The runner-up to the 2005 Heisman Trophy was Texas quarterback Vince Young. During his final year at Texas, when he was the Heisman runner-up, Vince Young was the most dominant quarterback in college football that season, just behind Matt Leinart. He had one of the best seasons ever. He threw for over 3,000 yards. He went undefeated, going 13-0, including winning the national championship on his iconic scramble. He won Big 12 Player of the Year and was one of the greatest quarterbacks of the season, and won a bunch of passing awards for the quarterback position. After the 2005 season ended, Vince Young announced his decision to declare for the 2006 NFL Draft.
With the third choice in the 2006 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Vince Young, quarterback, University of Texas.
The Titans used the third overall pick in the 2006 NFL Draft on quarterback Vince Young. In a previous video, I already went over Vince Young's career, that being that what happened to every first-round quarterback since 2000 video. I will say I'll give a quick overview of his career. In Tennessee, he showed flashes of potentially being the franchise quarterback. He led them to the playoffs in 2007. He took home Rookie of the Year in 2006, and he made 2 Pro Bowls. But despite that, he could never get along with coaches, he dealt with injuries, and he wasn't the greatest passer. He never really developed before being shipped off to Philadelphia, where he spent 1 year there before bouncing around the rest of the league as a training camp arm. He retired in 2016. This next player we're going to have to do differently. Not only did he finish up as the runner-up in 2007, but in 2008, he finished up as the runner-up again. The guy's name is Darren McFadden. At Arkansas, McFadden was pretty much the entire show. He carried the team to a 10-3 record in 2006, and in 2007, he managed to wheel them to an 8-4 record. Both times they lost their bowl games due to the fact they did not have enough on offense. McFadden, however, had back-to-back historical seasons. He led both NCAA in rushing yards, and he was also top 5 in touchdowns both seasons. Despite being the best running back in college football, he would lose to 2 quarterbacks in the Heisman voting. In 2006, he lost to Troy Smith, and in 2007, he lost to Tim Tebow. At the end of the 2007 season, McFadden would announce his decision to declare for the 2008 NFL Draft.
All right. With the 4th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Darren McFadden, running back, Arkansas.
McFadden's NFL career wasn't the best as a running back, but also wasn't the worst. He had 2 1,000-yard seasons in both 2011 and 2015, but throughout that time, he was on a bunch of terrible Raiders and Cowboys teams. The one time he made the playoffs was in 2016 as the backup running back to Ezekiel Elliott, and he saw 0 snaps. But besides that, McFadden did keep his career going longer than both Heisman Trophy candidates.
You can make a great case. It's going to be a very, very tight Heisman vote. The Scripps-Howard straw poll, which has been right 18 out of 21 years, has McCoy over Bradford by 1 point, with Tebow a close third. There was 98% Heisman vote return, highest in history, and 86% of the voters voted after Championship Saturday. Almost everybody, by the way, voted online. Lee Corso did not. It's so easy to build a case for all 3 of these quarterbacks, and so tough to really puncture holes in any of them, Lee.
Well, all 3 of them had great seasons, but let's Texas Colt McCoy. What separates him from the other 3 finals? The ability to run. Colt McCoy was the leading rusher on the Texas football team. He had 10 rushing touchdowns this year. He's a tremendous athlete. Also, if you remember in the Oklahoma game, which is the biggest game of the year, he had 25 points for Texas in the second half, 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal. The guy is a tremendous runner and a great passer. He had 277 passing in this one game, and the most important thing, he had 45. The other team had 35. Great effort by McCoy in that particular game.
The runner-up to the 2008 Heisman Trophy Award was Texas quarterback Colt McCoy. Ironically, Colt McCoy was the direct successor to Vince Young, who I mentioned earlier on this list. McCoy had a decent season that year. He went 12-1 as the team's starting quarterback, and he won their bowl game in a massive shootout in which he won the game's MVP. McCoy that year would throw for 34 touchdowns to just 8 picks. He would also rush for over 10 touchdowns on the ground, and he finished second in the Heisman voting, as previously mentioned. The next season, both McCoy and Texas would take a massive step forward. They would go from making just a simple bowl game all the way to the national championship. On just the first drive of the national championship game, Colt McCoy would suffer a game-ending injury. It would end his college football career, and he would never take another snap for Texas. Instead, McCoy would declare for the 2010 NFL Draft.
Tonight, fans are buzzing about the quarterback of the future, Colt McCoy. Sports anchor Terry Brooks joins us now. And you know what, Terry? Everybody loves a new quarterback.
Hey, Danita, only a quarterback taken in the 3rd round could be the lead story at 11. Colt McCoy, not just the quarterback, he's a guy who led the Texas Longhorns to the national title game. Some thought McCoy had the talent to go anywhere from the bottom of the first round to somewhere in the second round. The Browns feel like they got a steal in the third round by picking up McCoy.
I really didn't think that he would be available to us. I really felt that he would go before we had a chance to pick him. But when it didn't happen, thank you. When it didn't happen, it was something I really wanted to do, and Eric and Tom went along with me, and there you have it.
Happy man right there. Now, we will recap the Browns' entire day 2 of the draft and hear from Colt McCoy and first-round pick Joe Hayden later in sports. Terry Brooks, News Channel 5.
The Browns used their third-round pick in the 2010 draft on quarterback Colt McCoy. The hope was that Colt McCoy could potentially turn into the franchise quarterback or even be a solid backup for the team. McCoy would only last 3 years in Cleveland between 2010 and 2012 before he was traded to the San Francisco 49ers. After that, he would begin a journeyman backup career. The total amount that Colt McCoy lasted in the NFL was between 2010 all the way up until 2022. He would see his last bit of football with the Arizona Cardinals that same season, and he would announce his retirement after the season. Currently, as of making this video, Colt McCoy is an analyst for NBC.
In the country, the senior running back from Stanford, here's Toby Gerhart.
The runner-up in the 2009 Heisman Trophy was Toby Gerhart. In 2009, Tony Gerhart had one of the greatest seasons by a Stanford running back ever. He would rush for over 1,800 yards, along with 28 touchdowns. He also made first-team All-Pac-10 and was the Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year. At the end of the 2009 season, Gerhart would announce he was declaring for the 2010 NFL Draft. He was projected as one of the top running backs in the draft class that year.
With nearly 1,900 yards and 28 touchdowns, Toby Gerhart's senior year at Stanford was simply stunning. But for him, the real jaw-dropper is pulling on a Viking jersey.
It's kind of surreal. That's, me and Everson were talking about that in the locker room. He's like, man, did you sleep last night? I was like, not really. It's kind of nerve-wracking. And, it's fun to walk in there, see your name on a locker.
And if that's not enough, last year's Heisman Trophy runner-up is now paired with one of his idols, Adrian Peterson.
Arguably the best running back in the league, and working with him, learning from him, figuring out a way to contribute and compliment him is gonna be my goal.
Watching him run, Gerhart looks more like Peterson's clone.
I think I just work hard, play hard, and I'm just gonna embrace and get on the field contributing when possible.
Though he was known as a bruising runner in college, Coach Childress says there's more than meets the eye to AP's new sidekick.
Catches it way better than probably anybody gives him credit for.
Gerhart is eager to reward the Vikings' faith in him.
It means a lot, it means that that they really believe in my abilities and they believe I can contribute. And like I just said, I'm just gonna go out, find a way.
From Winter Park, Zach Borg, Fox Sports.
The Vikings used their second-round pick in the 2010 NFL Draft on Toby Gerhart. Throughout the rest of his career in the NFL, Gerhart was more of a backup running back. He wasn't really much of a starter, though in 2011 he did rush for over 500 yards, but beyond that, he played more of a backup role behind Adrian Peterson. He did, however, sign a 3-year contract with Jacksonville after being released by the Vikings in 2013. After signing his 3-year contract with Jacksonville, Gerhart would only play 2 years of the contract, as in year 3 he suffered an injury. He would miss all of 2016, and he would announce his retirement following the season. Before we move on to 2010, we have to talk about the one quick fact about Gerhart. He actually played baseball for Stanford. Similar to what happened back in 2006 and 2007, we have another repeat Heisman Trophy runner-up, this time quarterback Andrew Luck out of Stanford. In 2010, Andrew Luck would lead Stanford all the way to the Orange Bowl. He would win the game's MVP over Virginia Tech, and he would finish as first-team All-Pac-10. That year, he would throw for over 32 touchdowns to just 8 picks. The following season, Andrew Luck would finish as the runner-up to the Heisman Trophy once again. He would throw for over 3,700 yards, 37 touchdowns to 10 picks. He would finish 11-2 as the team's starting quarterback. However, he would lose in the Fiesta Bowl. The two quarterbacks that Andrew Luck finished up as the runner-up to in the Heisman Trophy Award was RG3 in 2011 and Cam Newton in 2010. Both of these guys would be picked in the first round of the 2011 and 2012 NFL drafts.
With the first pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Andrew Luck, quarterback, Stanford.
Similar to how I earlier summarized the careers of both Rex Grossman and Vince Young, I'm going to summarize Andrew Luck's career, but make it a little longer. For Andrew Luck, his career in the NFL started off pretty well. 2012, he would lead the Colts to the playoffs, however, they would lose to the Baltimore Ravens. Indianapolis would make the playoffs in both 2013 and 2014. In 2013, Luck would lead a miracle comeback against the Kansas City Chiefs in the wildcard round. In 2014, he would take the Colts all the way to the AFC Championship game, but that was pretty much the height of Andrew Luck's career. As a direct result of his offensive line breaking down, Andrew Luck never really played a healthy season afterwards. In 2015 and 16, he would miss games. Andrew Luck would miss all of 2017 with a season-ending shoulder surgery. In 2018, he would bounce back, winning the game's Comeback Player of the Year. However, in 2019, he would shockingly announce his retirement from football.
Hello. This certainly isn't how I envisioned this or planned this, but I am going to retire. This is not an easy decision. Honestly, it's the hardest decision of my life, but it is the right decision for me. For the last 4 years or so, I've been in this cycle of injury, pain, rehab, injury, pain, rehab, and it's been unceasing and unrelenting, both in season, and off season. And I felt stuck in it, and the only way I see out is to no longer play football. It's taken my joy of this game away, and this. Sorry.
After this speech, Andrew Luck pretty much retired from football and wasn't really seen much in the public media. That was until 2024 when Stanford hired him as the team's general manager.
A season where a quarterback's perseverance made his name recognizable well beyond the prairies of Kansas. Where a freshman reminded us never to put off until tomorrow what can be accomplished today. And where a linebacker showed us that one achieves success by courage and hard work, not merely by the luck of the Irish.
The runner-up to the 2012 Heisman Trophy was Notre Dame linebacker Manti Te'o. During his final season at Notre Dame, Te'o had a career year. He would go for over 100 tackles. He had a sack, along with 7 interceptions. He won the Defensive Player of the Year in college football, and he carried Notre Dame all the way to the college football playoffs championship game, where he would lose to Alabama. Upon the season concluding, Te'o would declare for the 2013 NFL Draft.
With the 38th selection in the 2013 NFL Draft, the San Diego Chargers proudly select Manti Te'o, linebacker, Notre Dame.
Upon being selected, Te'o had a solid NFL career. While he was never really a Pro Bowler, he had a solid contributing role on 3 different NFL teams. He spent 4 years with the San Diego Chargers, in which he helped them make the playoffs his first year as a linebacker. He helped the New Orleans Saints make it to the divisional round in 2017, and he would spend 1 year with the Chicago Bears in 2020. As of making this video, Te'o currently works as an NFL analyst.
From Alabama, quarterback A.J. McCarron.
Here's A.J. throwing a straight down the middle. A beauty of a throw. Rolling right. The pass from A.J. Touchdown, Alabama. A.J.'s going to throw out of the end zone. Down the near side. He's got it. He's going to go 99 yards. Count it.
Introducing the final Heisman runner-up we are going to be covering in this video, Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron. Prior to 2013, A.J. McCarron was already an established quarterback in the college football realm. He had won the 2011 and 2012 national championship games for Alabama and was one of the greatest college football quarterbacks of all time. Despite being the Heisman runner-up that year, A.J. McCarron and Alabama failed to return to the national championship game. This was due to the fact they lost to Auburn on the kick six. However, they would get a consolation prize in the form of losing the Sugar Bowl 45-35 to Oklahoma. After the loss to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, A.J. McCarron would announce his decision to declare for the 2014 NFL Draft.
With the 24th pick of the 5th round, number 164 overall, the Cincinnati Bengals select A.J. McCarron, quarterback, Alabama.
The Bengals decided to use their 5th round pick in the 2014 NFL Draft on A.J. McCarron. Throughout his 9-year career in the NFL, A.J. McCarron for the most part was a journeyman backup. In late 2015, A.J. McCarron would get his first start in the NFL. He would start in place of an injured Andy Dalton and would play the rest of the season out for the Bengals organization. The team would fall short in the playoffs, 18-16 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and after that, A.J. McCarron would only start one more game in his NFL career. As of making this video, A.J. McCarron remains unsigned in the NFL. Once again, as I have said this many times in the past, I hope you all have a lovely day after watching this video. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you all stay cool.